Hello, welcome to Indian Cooking 101. I'm Pallavi and today I'm going to show you how to cook some of authentic Indian dishes in very easy steps, which is easy to follow at home. You can cook it for yourself and your family. So let's get started. So let's get started on the first dish, which is the appetizer. And for appetizer today I'm going to make papri chaat, which is one of the most famous appetizer of North India. And it is my personal favorite. This is something which I have been eating for a very long time, but once I started to prepare it at home, once I learned how to make it at home, I stopped eating outside, and it is so easy to make at home that you would never need to go outside and buy it. So first I'm going to get started on the dressing that we need. So for the dressing we need coriander leaves, mint leaves, green chilies, which is again as per your preference, how hot or how spicy you want it. Then I have some garlic, ginger and lemon. Now we are going to put all of this in the blender and blend it along with some salt and a little bit of oil. But if you feel like this is too much to remember and too many ingredients to use, you can always just go and buy this mint chutney. It's very easily available in the stores and it tastes almost the same as a homemade chutney. So this is how our mint dressing looks like after I've blended it. So just make sure you don't add too much water because we want to get a thick consistency. And if you need to add a little bit water, you can add lemon juice instead of water so that it comes out thick, so that when we are layering it, it's not too watery and runny. And these are the rest of the things we are going to use now. This is called papri. It's easy to buy it. It's available in all Indian stores. It's just like a cracker which is salted and made with whole wheat flour. We also use it as snack. For when you're hungry you can snack on it. And these are just some boiled chickpeas that I soaked and boiled. You can either cook it at home or buy a canned chickpeas, that's fine. And I'm going to use some tomatoes for dressing on the top when it is done. And I have some yogurt. You can use any kind of yogurt that you want. You can also use sour cream. Just make sure you add some sugar to it. So let's start assembling it now. So before we start assembling everything, what I like to do is I like to mix my dressing with the chickpeas so that it is evenly distributed. Like some people like to sprinkle it on the top, but that way it's not distributed evenly. I'm just going to go ahead and mix it with the chickpeas and leave it for a few minutes by the time we assemble the other things, so that it's mixed consistently over every part of the papri chaat. So this is how it looks like, and as you can see, it's not too runny or too watery. And another thing that people like to add in this is boiled potatoes cut into very small parts. I'm not doing it today because I just want it to taste more like chickpeas, but you can do it if you want. It will give another different flavor. And now we are going to get started on the assembling. So first I'm going to put these in the bottom. Just going to layer them. Okay, I have layered my papri really nice, and the amount of papri you want to use depends on how much you like it. And then I'm going to use the second layer, which is the chickpeas soaked in my mint dressing. And as I said, along with chickpeas you can add boiled potatoes if you like, depends on your taste. And I'm going to just layer it evenly over all the papri. So this is how it's going to look like once it's layered. And the last layer is, which is the most important, is our yogurt. But before we put it, we have to mix it with some sugar. So I'm going to take it out in a bowl and start mixing it. So here is my yogurt. I used a plain unflavored yogurt, but you can use flavored yogurt also if you like. Whatever, it depends on your taste, what kind of yogurt you prefer. And I'm going to mix in some sugar. So this is our third layer. After mixing it, you can just sprinkle it on the top of the chickpeas. So here I've mixed in my yogurt. And I'll start layering it on the top now, like this. So this is the third layer, which is done. And after this, it depends on you what kind of garnishing you like to do. I like to do it with tomatoes. Some people like to do chopped onions, some people like to do coriander leaves, parsley leaves, whatever you like. After the layer of the yogurt, I'm going to add a little bit of spices. So here I have paprika. I'm just going to put a little pinch of it, not too much. And then this is cumin powder. It's very important and it gives a very nice flavor to the yogurt, which is mixed with sugar. So don't skip this step, don't forget this step. This is like the most important ingredient if you ask me. And now I'm just going to put in a little bit of salt. Now I don't want to add lemon because we already added half a lemon in the mint dressing. But if you like it sour, if you like that tangy taste, then you can add more lemon in this. And after that, for the garnishing, as I said, if you like tomatoes, if you like onions, if you like coriander leaves, it's up to you what kind of garnishing you like to do on the top. I like to do it with the chopped tomatoes, so that's what I'm going to do. And it has to be chopped really small into tiny pieces. It has to be chopped this much big. And now I'm just going to put them on the top like this. When the tomatoes are chopped really small, they can get mixed everywhere nicely. So this is how I like to chop it, very small pieces, so that it can mix and it can give a flavor to all of the base. So this is done with all the dressing and garnishing, and this is how it's going to look like. It's ready to eat now. Now we are going to move on to our next item, which is the entree, and for that I'm going to make Kadhai chicken today. Now let's move on to our entree, which is called Kadhai chicken. Kadhai. The name is derived from the wok. Wok means a kadhai in Indian language. And Kadhai chicken is one of the most favorite chicken dish in India. It is one of the famous dinner recipes that we have over the weekend when we have some friends over, and everyone loves it. So these are the ingredients that I'm going to use for Kadhai chicken. These are the ingredients for marinating the chicken first: pepper, paprika, cumin powder and turmeric. This is ginger, garlic, and I already prepared some ginger garlic paste in advance, and we also need a little bit of lemon juice. Then for slow cooking the chicken, these are the spices that we are going to use, and then we are going to blend it in a particular ratio. This is something that I use in all my curries because this is an authentic Indian masala which is called garam masala, and I can't prepare it at home because it has a specific ratio, it has a blend of different kind of spices, and it gives such a good aroma to my food that you can find it anywhere in every store. So I have some chicken here which I already washed and prepared, and now we are going to start marinating it. We don't need to marinate it for too long, just 30 minutes is enough. And I would take a deeper bowl so all these spices can get absorbed in the chicken nicely. And let's start. First I have lemon. A few drops of lemon. Next I have a paste of ginger and garlic which I already prepared. Then I'm going to use my spices. This is pepper, this is paprika, or you can also use red chili powder, and you can choose the amount that you want based on how spicy you want it to be. A little cumin, and then garam masala, which is very important. Now we are going to use some oil, and I'm using olive oil. We will be already using the oil in the curry, so I would not use too much. Just 1 tablespoon is fine. And then mix everything real nice. And in the end, I'm going to sprinkle some salt. And make sure you don't use too much salt because it's already going to be there in the curry. Just a little bit. Now we mix it real nice so that all the chicken pieces are coated in the masala, and we leave it for 30 minutes so everything should get absorbed real nice. Okay, so my chicken pieces look really good. They are coated with all the herbs and spices real nice. And now I'm going to just leave it aside to marinate it. So in the meantime our chicken is marinating, I'm going to get started on the dessert. And for dessert today I'm going to make rice pudding. And for that I have some basmati rice here, but you can use any rice that you have available at home. And I'm going to go ahead and soak it. So by the time we get to the dessert, it's already soaked and ready to use. So our chicken is almost marinated, and before we start on the curry, I'm just going to show you how we make the Kadhai masala, which is the particular blend of masalas that we use for this recipe. So here I have whole coriander, whole cumin, fennel seeds and some dry red chilies. And to make it more flavorful, you can just dry roast them a little bit before you put it in the blender and blend it to make the flavors and the smell more prominent in your dish. So I'll just show you how to do it. I'm using 2 tablespoons of coriander seeds, 1 tablespoon of fennel seeds, 1 tablespoon of cumin seeds, and again the dry red chilies depend on how much spicy you want it to be. So I'm just going to use 2 so it doesn't get very spicy. And we will dry roast it for just a minute before we put it in the blender and blend everything. And if this seems too much work for you, you can always go ahead and buy the Kadhai Masala, which is the particular masala used for this dish. It is available in all Indian stores. So here is the blended form of the coarse masala that I just showed you, and this is how it looks after blending, and we'll use it in the curry. And I like to leave it a little bit coarse so that the flavors get cooked better when it is in the curry. So for the curry, I'm using 1 big onion and 1 green bell pepper. You can use any bell pepper of your choice which you like. And let's start cutting it. So I have my onion peeled, and for the bell peppers I removed all the seeds so it's not too hot when you use it. And I'm just going to show you how big pieces of onions to cut. So I cut it like this, and then we are going to just remove the skins and the layers so that the onions look this big in size. This is how they should look when they are in the curry. And we are going to use the same size of the peppers. This is how exactly we are going to cut the peppers also. So we are done with prepping the veggies. I have cut my onions and bell peppers. You can see these are all small squares. Now we are going to add the olive oil. So I added about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and you don't want to add too much because we already added some oil in the marinade. So 2 tablespoons should be fine. While our veggies are getting fried, I'm going to get started on the next step, which is blending the tomatoes. You can also use tomato puree if you want, but I like to use fresh tomatoes because they have a better taste. I'm going to use 3 because these are small size tomatoes, so I'm going to take 3 of these tomatoes and blend them in a blender and make a puree. So our onions and bell peppers look nicely fried. They smell really good. And now we are going to go ahead and add the chicken that we marinated before. It's marinated very well. I'm going to add all this and all the marinade mix that there is. You're going to have to mix it real nice and then leave it for a few minutes. Before we go ahead and add our tomato puree, I just want to make sure that the chicken and the vegetables are mixed nicely, so I'm going to keep stirring it for a few minutes. So it's been 5 minutes. Let's see. The chicken has mixed really nice with the vegetables. I'm just going to give it a quick stir before I add in my tomato base. Okay, now I'm just going to add the tomato puree that I made. So this is the tomato puree that I made, and as I said, you can also use a store-bought canned tomatoes, anything that you prefer. We are going to mix it first and then we are going to add our other ingredients. Now the main ingredient that we prepared earlier, the Kadhai Masala that we mixed and blended, I'm going to go ahead and add that. And I'm also going to add a little bit of turmeric. We already added the garam masala in the marinade, so I'm just going to add a pinch of it now. Now I'm just going to add the last thing, which is a little bit of salt, and make sure you don't add too much because there was already salt in the marinade mixture. Now that we have put in everything, I'm going to give it a whisk so everything mixes, and then we are going to simmer it down so that it can cook on a low heat and all the flavors get absorbed real nice. So I'm going to reduce the flame and I'm going to cover it and let it cook on a low flame for around 30 minutes. Now our chicken is done and I'm just preparing some coriander leaves to garnish on top of it. This has a very good consistency. This smells perfect and I can't wait to try it. I like to eat it with a side of rice, but you can also eat it with whatever side dish you like bread or anything. And this is how it's going to look once it's done and ready for serving. And this chicken smells so good right now, like all of my kitchen smells good because of this chicken. So let's move on to the next recipe, which is dessert. And for dessert, I'm going to make rice pudding. And this is the rice that we soaked before. And as you can see, it has been soaked very well because it is crumbling when I touch it, and that's what we want it to, so that the rice pudding is very thick in consistency. And I'm just going to break the rice grains before I put it in the pan. And here are the rest of the ingredients. I have some almonds. You can also use cashews or any other nuts that you like. This is for garnishing once it is done cooking. And I have some sugar and some milk. So now I'm going to get started by washing the rice. So the rice is washed and rinsed and ready to use. And as you can see, I have mashed it with my fingers. And because it was soaked for like an hour, it was easy to just mash it with your fingers. And now it is ready to go in the pan. I'm going to add some milk. I used 1 cup of rice, and for 1 cup of rice I've added 1.5 cup of milk, but we might have to add more later on, so I'll just keep stirring and checking it once it is cooked. It needs to be of a thick consistency, so we don't want to add too much of milk at the same time. So we are going to check it in 15 minutes and see if it needs more milk. So we will add the sugar once the rice is cooked. We don't want to add it right now because it will become very thick right now. So I'm just going to leave it to cook for 15 minutes and then we will see the consistency if it needs anything else to be added. Okay, so our rice pudding has been cooking for 15 more minutes and it looks perfect right now. The consistency is perfect, it's creamy, and it is cooked very well. Now for the last step, I'm going to add sugar, and I always prefer to add sugar towards the end because sugar has this sticky consistency, and if you add it in the beginning, it tends to burn the pots and pans. So this is what we do in the end. And again, the quantity of sugar depends on how sweet you want it, and I'm just going to mix it, and this is almost done. to go ahead and start on the garnishing, which is the almonds. Now I'm going to start serving the rice pudding, and I can't wait to try it. This smells so good right now. And I'm going to top it with some almonds. And it's all done. So this was today's dishes. I hope you had fun watching it. I enjoyed making it for you, and I hope you have fun cooking it at home. Till next time, bye bye and namaste.